Of the Best Bets show here on the field of 68. We are the three-man weave taking you through the evening slate on a fine Thursday. We are powered, as always, by BetRivers. Ready to talk some hoops, guys. Let's start on last night. What did you see? I'm going to go to Mr. Cox first. We're going to find out how he's doing. He had some brief tech difficulties behind the scenes, folks. So we're going to have some fun with him today. What do you got, Matt?
Yeah, I hate this. Technology stinks. Jim, only I would fade a trend that was 65% this year. Sure enough, Iowa stinks. Wisconsin still stinks. Let's be very clear about that. They're not a good basketball team. But when Iowa goes 2 of whatever they are, 24, 2 of 24 from 3, like it's Iowa. It's not like it's
Mississippi
UT
State.
Rio Grande Valley. I don't know. Yeah. So frustrating, Kai, but I've learned my lesson. I'll stop doing that.
Well, you look great. Your hair is pretty. It's showing through the camera, your backup camera. Fantastic cut on you, young man. Yeah, like it or not, Matt, Wisconsin is probably in the dance now. They're 10-10 across Q1, Q2 competition. That pretty much dwarfs every single other bubble team. So I don't see the committee keeping them out now. But Vanderbilt, Jim, they just fumbled on the goal line there with a loss to LSU. Any chance they had of climbing back into contention just went bye-bye. So good effort, Commodores. See you never.
Yeah, can't drop the one to the team that's lost 15 in a row. That's just a really bad look for a committee that's probably trying to find reasons to keep you out at this stage. Kai, your UConn boys looked like the UConn. How about that?
Mm-hmm.
That one was even more impressive to me than the Marquette one from earlier because that was like just a cascade of shooting. Their defense was outrageous yesterday. Every Providence basket in the first half was a jumper, and over time, not getting any easy buckets really was a problem. I think UConn doubled them on the glass, so 40-20. Ridiculous. Like that is the UConn that deserved a 2 or a 3 seed, or probably a 3 or 4 in the bracket reveal, not a 5. Absolutely ridiculous. So tip of cap to them. All right, let's get to the outline. Matt, you mentioned a 65% trend. That would be Big Ten home teams. They're now up to 71-41 against the spread this year in league play. It's outrageous. So we got Northwestern at Illinois. Illinois laying 6 against the Purple Cats. Matt, give us a reason we should take the home team. Come on.
It's Illinois. Team's good. Even without Shannon, they've been really competitive. I think I don't know if they're undervalued right now, but I still believe in this team as like, one of the top 3 in the Big Ten and a team with like real tournament teeth to go far. Northwestern at this point, it's tough to really poke holes at them being a paper tiger. They're just good. 6 points feels like a lot with the spot that Illinois is in. That's my only concern with laying the points here. Saturday, played Monday against Minnesota. They played today and then play again over the weekend. Only concern. But again, I do think that Illinois gets them today.
Yeah, I don't know. Northwestern's hot as a pistol, man. I know when I've been wrong on a team, and I think it's the Wildcats here. They're number 2 in the Big Ten now. They're slotted for a 6 seed, 5 straight wins and covers, 8-2 against the spread in their last 10 games. They are playing very well. And I don't trust Illinois. It was a really good effort without Shannon at Indiana following that Penn State loss, but it wasn't a great effort against Minnesota. You could argue they're kind of sleepwalking through it. Northwestern did win the first matchup in this game. They were down by 5 with under 13 minutes to go, and they outscored the Illini by 18 points down the stretch. It was kind of wild. I think we were actually on Illinois in that game. It's just really hard to get in front of this Northwestern train with their guard play recently, and they work really hard. They work extremely hard. They get on the floor, all that good stuff. I think their perimeter also causes Illinois some issues ball handling. So I kind of lean towards Northwestern, but I didn't play anything, Jim.
Yeah, I almost went Illinois best bet here, partially because of how strong the home teams have been, partially because of how that first game went. Illinois shot 50% inside the arc. Northwestern shot 29%.
Yikes.
Northwestern made more threes. Illinois couldn't make any. They shot 29% from 3. And Northwestern took 40 free throws. Some of that is like, you could probably add about 10 of those were in the final minute from fouling, trying to keep the game close. But it was still like a complete shellacking or one-sided avalanche of free throws. I think switching venues, that's going to hurt Northwestern here. The one thing keeping me off it, and I saw it mentioned in the chat, is that Northwestern is actually good on the road. 6-2 against the spread, plus 6 cover margin. They're the rare Big Ten team that is truly a road warrior. So that kept me away from this one as much as I wanted to take Illinois. I think it's a great spot for them. I think it's a decent matchup given the way the numbers were in the first game, but not going to officially endorse it. Move on to a second Big Ten team, headed out to the rack / Jersey Mike's. It's the rack. Rutgers hosting Michigan. Kyle, we'll go to you first here. Last I saw Rutgers around -4. See if that's what it's at right now. Nope, I can't spell.
5.5.
Five and a half.
Yeah.
All right. So what are you looking at with that? Michigan going on the road after taking down their arch rival over the weekend.
Really key injuries to watch in this game. Caleb McConnell is doubtful, so he probably does not play in this game for Rutgers. They survived Wisconsin without him, but I still think that's a pretty dicey situation. He's pretty important, especially with Mag out. Jed Howard is questionable, rolled his ankle last game. Probably a wash in terms of impact to each of their teams. Maybe you could argue Howard is more important to Michigan. The spread feels a bit high to me, especially if Howard plays. This isn't the same Rutgers team without Mag. Since he got hurt, Matt, they're 113th in the country per Bart Torvik. Michigan is 30th. They're coming off a huge win against Sparty. Big Ten home is probably still an issue here. If you want to take Michigan, I'd probably caution against it. Rutgers is 12-4 against the spread at the rack, plus 6.5 cover margin. Michigan, 2.5 ATS on the road. Not great. However, the line does feel pretty high to me. And again, Rutgers, not the same team we've been seeing in the early going.
Yeah, I buy that Michigan's a slightly better team right now. Let's just assume that Howard and McConnell are both in or both out just as a wash. So you're implying that, home is worth 5 to 6. And yeah, I think it's been worth that. My goodness. So yeah, I think the lines, you kind of added up like that. It feels right to me, Kai. Ideally, Michigan just feels like it's a little high. Maybe there's some late season surge left in them. I've kind of written them off though. They've been in big spots before the season and not really delivered. I don't know, Jim. Tough one to handicap here. I guess I lean toward Michigan, but again, why would you fade against a 71-41 ATS trend at this point?
Yep. I won't be doing it. No interest in it. Michigan has been one of the teams that's been poor on the road, unlike Northwestern, as I said. The one thing I loved out of Michigan from this weekend was the emergence of Terrace Reed. He was fantastic, just bully balled Michigan State inside, completely took over that game late. Couple offensive rebounds, putbacks, and ones. Not a great free throw shooter, but that's okay if you're scoring in other ways and impacting the game. So that gives them kind of the twin towers to go against Omori inside. No McConnell as that super versatile defender, but like Kai said, I think that washes with Howard because those two would be going at each other, same position. Don't love the Michigan guards on the road. McDaniel, I think, has some splits that lean that way, unsurprisingly, given this league. I don't trust Rutgers, though, so I'm not going to lay it with them either. I want to get behind this home court trend, but I can't find the best situation to do it, so I'm not going to do it here.
We've missed it, Jim. We've missed it.
Yeah, well, maybe, unless it just keeps going. Like I said, I think it's in the past month, it's like 68%. It's been kind of stronger than it is full season.
I feel like I'm like playing tic-tac-toe against a guy, and I'm like, I keep trying to put in the corner first to dupe him into to mess up, but he keeps beating me the same way. It's like, you're going to change your approach one time, sir. Like, that's how I just feel trapped in this cat and mouse game, Kai, with Big Ten.
Tic-tac-toe is a solved game, man. That's the tough part. There's a
and I'm playing against a rigged game right now. So you're right.
All right, let's go Pac-12. The two LA schools are doing the mountain trip this week/weekend. We're going to start with UCLA at Utah. Matthew, I'm not really sold on this Utah team without Gabe Madsen. I think it takes away some of the offensive pop that they have. I still love Stefanovic. Carlson is a monster in the paint, but UCLA has been pretty darn solid. They've actually won 3 in a row at Utah. They've not been totally decimated by the elevation. So again, nothing super strong for me here.
Yeah, Utah's just the walking wounded. I think so no Madsen, and I believe they're also down my guy Riley Worcester, as Jordan Majeski points out today, being super thin. Then they just don't have enough creators or shot makers without Madsen, and especially Worcester, I think, is really the engine of that offense. I do think if they were all healthy, I'd be looking to take Utah. I think back to when I backed them against Arizona in a hype home spot when they were fully healthy. I think that's a similar type of angle I'd want to back Utah here, but I think I was catching 7 against Arizona. Now I'm only catching 5 against UCLA, who could be better than Arizona. And this team's 7. I'm sorry, 7. So yeah, it's about the same. But this Utah team's a shell of itself relative to that past precedent I mentioned there. So nothing for me here, Kai.
And UCLA is not coming from Maui like Arizona was. I think that's worth it.
Yes.
UCLA now number 2 in KenPom. If you hadn't noticed the jump, they jumped Alabama after the Tide's tough game against South Carolina. They're also firmly on the 2 seed. I don't see them really moving up or down from there. Cronin said it was laughable, but I think they're pretty locked in at that position. Utah has been bad without Madsen. 1-5 against the spread since he got hurt including the game he got hurt. He played 2 minutes against. Home court is obviously strong for Utah. They're still a top 30 home court team per KenPom, 9-7 against the spread, +3 cover margin. Good home team, obviously playing in altitude, but I think UCLA is just humming right now. I still think they're a legit title contender. They beat Utah by 19 in game 1. There was no Carlson in that game, but still the Bruins scored pretty easily. The spread does feel high. I respect Utah's home court enough, Jim, to stay away, but a slight lean towards UCLA still.
Yeah, I feel like in the past we'd be all over Utah here. We're just like, oh, home elevation, tough spot, travel spot for them. I'm not there in the past. I have like actual distinct memories of doing a show, taking Utah at home against UCLA, and I'm getting pounded. I think that happened either last year or 2 seasons ago. So I'm not going to get on board with that here. Well, let's pivot over to Boulder, where the Buffaloes are hosting USC. Colorado laying 2.5 here. Kai, USC still very much in the tournament picture, probably in the field as it stands, but this is a risky trip for them because there's not a lot to gain out of it. I guess Utah's probably Q2 on the road still, but you don't want to take an ugly loss at altitude. You don't want to get blown out here as we get down to it, closer to Selection Sunday.
Yeah.
What are you leaning here with the Trojans at Colorado?
Yeah, USC needs this win. This would be a Q1 win for USC. It would probably cement them on the right side of the bubble. I'm pretty sure. I just guessed that, to be honest. I think Colorado's top 75 in the net. Yeah, it could be Q2.
61. Good call.
Yeah, okay. So Q1 game for USC here. Colorado's not making the dance. They can still play spoiler, though. You still have to respect the Buffs. They did beat Tennessee and Texas A&M this season. Remember that? That's pretty wild to think about, just looking back. USC won game 1 by 7. Colorado killed them on the glass, a little surprisingly. But USC forced 22 turnovers. And I think that's the key for the Trojans in this game. Colorado's ball handling has been their biggest weakness all season. And USC's size can match Colorado's and overwhelm Colorado's size. I do lean towards USC here on the road, +2.5. Again, though, Matt, like Utah, I respect Colorado's home court, so I didn't actually play anything here.
Almost took USC, was this close to doing it, didn't pull the trigger. Josh Morgan came back last game for USC. He's critical. They got Reese Dixon Waters back last game. You look at those 4 games they both missed. That's when they had the Oregon disaster road trip, right? Got beat by Oregon, then got embarrassed, arguably, by Oregon State. They bounced back with conviction, though, last weekend. Cal, Stanford. I was saying earlier, I think I like this USC team, as crazy as that sounds. But I'm kind of back in on them, especially when they have those 2 guys back. I haven't really been super impressed with Iwuchukwu yet. He just hasn't played in that many minutes and hasn't been super effective. You got to think he's going to only improve as the year goes on, though. So it's just kind of like an extra feather in the cap if you're looking to back the Trojans here. I lean their way. I know the whole mountain thing is scary, but it's leg 1, not as daunting as leg 2. And I just think they're a buy low given those Oregon efforts just a week ago or 2 weeks ago at this point.
I'll go the other way, slightly into Colorado. I do like the home court. Colorado is so Jekyll and Hyde. Like, they can be really awesome. Like when we were against them with Colorado State, or like Kai said, beginning of the year when they smashed Texas A&M, just took them to the woodshed. But then also very prone to some poor efforts. So again, not strong enough to bet this game because I don't feel confident enough in my read on Colorado at this stage. All right, let's go to Chat Mob here. Kai, I believe you're collecting because Matt is disheveled.
I am.
Yeah.
I have Matt's back, always and forever.
I'm trying to get my cameras. Technology. Go. Sorry.
A nice little combo here from Pat/Scott. I'm guessing Scott told Pat what to ask in the chat to start this off.
Oh.
Long Beach State, Matthew, is at Santa Barbara. Santa Barbara, 5-point favorites. They've lost 2-3 straight now. They have not looked good. Right, your thoughts, Matthew?
Line's about right to me. No, I agree. They haven't looked great. I know Beach got healthier, still without Murray, but they got who did they get back recently? I thought they got a key body back. Maybe not. I kind of lean Beach, no home, basically. I lean toward Beach. I'm gonna maybe keep fading this Santa Babs downward trajectory.
I think there's some home. Santa Barbara's not where you think it is. Remember, I've run into this all the time. It's like 2 hours from Long Beach, I think.
Hour and a half, whatever. Yeah, north part of LA. It's whatever. It's like 2 hour drive tops, I would say. I guess traffic is traffic, but it's not you're not going up to
on the I-10, bro. Come on.
California geography is Geography is my favorite bit by you.
California.
Matt, I'm going right back to you for another question because it involves your Bows. Riverside at Hawaii. -3.5. Hawaii is at home.
I like the Bows. I know Riverside's been playing really, really good lately, but I think they get them at home here. A little bit of a revenge spot. Hawaii won at Riverside first matchup, right? Their back line, I think they match up well with Riverside. So I would lean toward my Bows.
This was an under I liked, but after another day of overs demolishing yesterday, I'm not taking an under for best bet. So,
man, wish would have hopped on that over train a month ago. Whew,
you'd
buddy,
be up like
paying
90
out.
units if you auto bet it.
Yeah, tough to blind bet trends, but gosh, if you luck into one, it's nice. Jim, Utah Tech at UT Rio Grande Valley. Utah Tech is -2.5 on the road. Thoughts?
I'm a Vaquero boy here. They're a pretty solid home squad.
Yeah.
Been a Vaquero guy all year. I think that team's actually pretty solid. They compete. I'm trying to find their home stats, but the team rankings abbreviations are not
Texas
friendly,
Pan Am.
so Rio is not
it's
on
Pan
there.
Am, I think so.
Yeah.
Pan Am, one word.
I miss Texas Pan Am.
Genuinely cannot find it. So I'd like to give that information. Can't, but I know they've been strong at home. So lean their way.
Matt, you get a Summit game. UMKC on the road at South Dakota State. The Bunnies are favored by 10.5.
Lean the Bunnies' way, but again, it's a team that I think if you're betting on right now with a ton of confidence, you're still reaching. I know they had Arians was out last game. They got easily back again after his will he won't. He had actually an awesome game last weekend against Omaha. Still lean toward the Bunnies, Kai, but I've been hitting and missing, mostly missing with the Roos all season. So
I am rubber, you are glue. I'm going to bounce right back to you here. Northridge hosting Bakersfield -1.
Oh, gross.
CSUN. You love Bakersfield always.
This game.
Yeah. What do you think?
I don't like Bakersfield. I hate Bakersfield. I bet them reluctantly against my Bows, and it was the worst decision I've ever made. I've been liking Northridge stubbornly, but I think in this game, Bakersfield's kind of trending up, though. They've been playing better. It's funny. They got Gaskin back. We thought they're like their most talented scorer. They've actually played worse with him back, and they played worse with him in earlier. Their best stretch was when he was out. So might be just a gunner black hole type guy.
Jim, another under I liked, Kai, but Bakersfield's been like an over machine. Before that Hawaii game, I think they had 7 or 8 straight overs. Ridiculous.
Despite Higgins not playing in like 20 games. Yeah. Jim, Nichols and New Orleans. Nichols is a 5-point road favorite.
Yeah, I like Nichols coming off a weird home loss to my Commerce boys. Shout out to the Lions there, getting that one done late. Nichols is way better. New Orleans hasn't really been fully healthy all year. They've been they were supposed to be reliant on their front court, and it hasn't gone well. One of the worst years of Schlesinger's tenure. So I lean towards Nichols bouncing back from their loss.
Paris asks Cal Baptist, Sam Houston. I lean towards Sam Houston. 6-point spread. Feels about right, but a slight lean towards the home Bearcats. Matt, you get a CAA game that I'm actually kind of curious about as well. William and Mary is hosting Elon. William and Mary is a bit hurt. Gabe Dorsey, Noah Collier, we don't know their status. They're also +1 at home against Elon. So Elon is a road favorite here. Seems a little bit weird to me, but your thoughts?
I kind of like William and Mary. I've been higher on this team than I think most people have most of the season. I think their inconsistencies have been very much injury and experience related. So yeah, I guess for that reason, I probably shouldn't back them here, but I do think it's a pretty good price against Elon.
Yeah, Elon's kind of rolling. I think they've covered 6 of the last 8, 9 of the last 12.
I know they are playing well.
They have been. And William and Mary is one of the worst ATS teams in the country now, surprisingly.
It's kind of like a
Butler's been good for them, Jim. That's a good point. Yeah, Butler's been good.
From Ray, I'll take Utah Valley Tarleton. Hey, lines come down a little bit. I liked Tarleton actually around 3, kind of leaned their way. They're a tough home team. They're really frustrating to watch for sure. And Utah Valley's been rolling lately, one of the best ATS teams in the country. But I kind of hold my nose and lean towards Tarleton there at home. All right, last one before Chat Mob. Jim, you get Milwaukee hosting Purdue Fort Wayne, the artist formerly known as IPFW. Milwaukee is -2 at home.
Yeah, big gut lean to the over here, although Fort Wayne hasn't been as like offensive centric, which is weird. I mean, you look at this same core 2 years ago was like a complete offensive leaning team, terrible defense. They've flipped that this year, which I don't really understand how, because the personnel hasn't changed all that much. But Milwaukee's going to make this game up tempo. Purdue Fort Wayne's willing to run. Also would lean towards Milwaukee at home, but not a great take on the side.
Yep. All right, let's go back to the rundown. I got the rest holstered for round 2.
All right, let's do one more Big Ten game here. I begrudgingly put this on the slate because Ohio State is an embarrassment at this stage. One of the most rollover and die seasons you've seen in years. But they are a favorite at home in the Big Ten, laying 2.5 to Penn State, who Kai still has something to play for here. Jalen Pickett has been a total monster lately. Ask our producer Trevor what he did to Illinois like 10 days ago. Sorry, Trevor. But so do you see Penn State getting the win they need and continuing this absolute descent that Ohio State is on.
Yeah, they're in a sad state of affairs right now. They've lost 8 in a row. They've lost 13 of 14. They're 63rd in KenPom, down from a peak of 9th. They're the nation's 4th worst ATS team. They're 0-8 against the spread their last 8. They're 1-13 against the spread in their last 14 games. Also, Zed Key, done for the year. Best player, done. But they're favored. And I've seen some people kind of shake their head and scratch their head a little bit and ask why.
Stinky line. It's fishy.
Stinky line. Maybe. Penn State has shown life here. They took Wisconsin to OT. Respectable loss to Maryland, kept it close. Then they beat Illinois and Minnesota. And that they can shoot. And Ohio State will oblige that. 12th in the league in three-point attempt rate allowed. Theoretically, Ohio State's bigger guards will do better on Pickett than most teams. But why have confidence in the Buckeyes right now? I cannot recommend Ohio State. For me, it's Penn State or nothing in this game.
Yeah, Penn State or nothing, but it's nothing because who's playing at home?
Ohio State.
Yeah, well,
Jim, that's my take. Back to you.
Wisconsin and Ohio State were the two exceptions to the Big Ten home, and then look what Wisconsin did last night, beat Iowa by double digits. So
Iowa, you stink. What was that?
Sorry. Yeah.
What in the world was that effort?
That's like, I want to say Penn State because I just don't respect Ohio State's home court. Like Kai said, they haven't covered anywhere. They could play on Pluto. They could play in Bryce Sensabaugh's backyard. They would still not cover the game. So I definitely lean towards Penn State. Means more to them. They're playing better, but not fully going to recommend it. It's not a best bet, but certainly a stronger lean. All right, next up, we got Memphis at Wichita State. Matthew, it is Memphis laying 2. That certainly hints that Kendrick Davis is not going to play, but he did go through warmups against Houston. I don't know exactly how close he is to coming back and if they're going to try to save him for the other Houston game because of how important that one is for them. This one's a really hard game to handicap without him. He is a massively important piece. Memphis got Lomax back last game, but he didn't even score against Houston, not making a bunch of nearly the impact that Kendrick Davis does. And Wichita State quietly playing well. What do you got with this one? Memphis -2 on the road.
Jim, similar to the Houston versus Tulane matchup dominance we talked about yesterday, I think that is intact here with Memphis against Wichita. I believe they've won 5 in a row against the Shockers, covered 4 of those 5. And I thought they played pretty well without Kendrick last game against Houston. I mean, all things considered. So given the fact that you're getting an extra point because the market's bet into no Kendrick, that strong matchup angle with the motivation behind Memphis gives me a lot of temptation to go ahead and take the cheaper price with the 20% chance Kendrick plays, and that's like extra point or two of value if he's somewhat effective, which we think he would be given he did warm up last game. I don't know. I'm tempted to take the points around the road. Kai, call me a spinny square, but I like the Tigers even if Kendrick's out.
I was impressed by Memphis in that game against Houston without Kendrick Davis. Man, they competed. I agree with Jim though. Wichita has been kind of solid. They don't get a lot of credit, but they play tough. They can be scrappy, especially on the road. Weirdly, they've been really good on the road.
Awesome.
At home, strangely, not as good. The Roundhouse used to be a pretty great home court.
4-11 against the spread at home this year. Straight.
Yeah. Memphis beat Wichita by 10 at their place. They won fairly comfortably, but they shot the cover off the ball. There was some pretty fortunate shooting splits. DeAndre Williams, 29 and 15. I mean, he couldn't be stopped. He probably won again. It's hard to see Memphis dropping this one. They're so close to the cut line in the dance. You have to think they're hyper aware of that. This is a quality win opportunity, either Q1 or Q2. KenPom did make this 5, so that's where the questioning of the line is. I agree, Jim. It does kind of hint Davis is out. If he's in, hard lean to Memphis. If he's out, I'd probably stay on the sidelines here. Wichita is capable of pulling off the win.
Yeah, it's a Q2 game. Wichita barely inside of that, 125th in the net, which leaves them in that Q2 range on the road, barely. 11 straight Wichita games have gone over. How's that for a little number for you there? They have been much better offensively. The pick and pop with Craig Porter and Kenny Poto has been effective. Jaquan Walton's been a beast. I mean, he was super talented when he arrived at Georgia, starting to deliver on that after a couple stops in college. I lean towards Wichita on the over here. And it's a little bit like what Matt's saying with if you bet the over, or if you bet Memphis before you know Kendrick Davis status, you might get a little extra bump. I think it's the same way with the over. He's a big over player. So if he ends up in there, it's even more beneficial. All right, next up, we've got North Texas at Charlotte, a huge one in Conference USA, as North Texas has also crept onto the bubble there, at least getting consideration from just about every bracketologist out there. I believe they're like kind of far from the field per Lenardi, but other people have them a lot closer. And hey, Kai, who's better bracketologist, the internet or Lenardi? That's
the internet.
Debate. Yeah, I would agree. Okay, so we've got a very low total game
comparable.
Here.
Yeah, what?
Yeah. Very low total game between these two. No surprise. Very half court centric. 109.5 current total. North Texas laying up to 3 right now, Kai, on the road.
Wow.
Leaning towards the mean green or what?
I'm rooting for North Texas. I do like that they're in the conversation for an at-large. They're 23-5. They've come a long way since that 30-point loss to St. Mary's without Tyler Perry. But Charlotte's very solid. They play a pack line. They're going to force North Texas to shoot. Game 1 was no problem. And it was also one of the weirdest games we've seen, Matt, of the season. 47 possessions 47. In game 1. 47. Has to be a record. If it's not a record, it's pretty darn close in the 30-second shot clock era for sure. These are the 2 slowest overall pace teams in the country. So it makes sense, right, that we see the lowest possession total coming from them. KenPom projects 54 in this game. The total out there in the market is 109.5.
109.
I think that's pretty fair. Somehow North Texas won that 47 possession game by 24 points, which is almost impossible. 1.43 points per possession. It was kind of clear Charlotte couldn't stop them. It's at Charlotte. Maybe that tips the scales the other way, Matt. But again, I'm rooting for North Texas. Go mean green.
I think North Texas wins. I think the under money is sound. I think this game's going to play like 50 possessions. It's weird. Usually we look for the outliers of pace on the fast end of the spectrum. It's odd that you see 2 extremes on the low end of the spectrum. And I believe, I'm trying to pull up my massive database here, there is value on betting overs in the historically low totals. This one, I think, is just a different beast. I think you just go complete under here. 110. I think I'd still take under 110.
I mean, if you're going to give me less than 50 possessions, sure, right. I'll take under 110. I mean, that requires offensive rebounds where you bring the ball out for 20 seconds and twiddle your thumbs a little bit. It's nuts. But if that's the pace we're going to see, you got to lean towards the under. I lean towards North Texas because in a close game, I think they've got the better late game shot maker. Mr. Tyler Perry is a beast there, but up over to 3. I think I had seen like 1.5, 2. Yeah, 2 it opened. I would have liked North Texas a little more there. That point matters a lot in a game of this limited possession scope. All right, last one on the outline. We're giving some love to the Eastern Washington Eagles from the Big Sky Country. They cannot lose right now. We'll see if we'll give them the classic announcer's jinx here. Matthew, they have been a juggernaut. They're shooting 65% in league play. Now they're only -1, -1.5 on the road at the D, taking on Weber State. What do you got for us?
I kind of lean Eastern Washington. I watched them play against Northern Colorado. They were up like close to 30 in that game, and then they let up a BS run late to narrow the gap. Defensively, they're awesome. I think that's where they've really ascended. Like offensively, they always had that really intricate system that Riley runs, kind of passed down from Shanty Legans. It's not really a system. They have really good like modern European concepts that's tough to guard, but they have such good length and size that they've been so good defensively as well. It kind of makes them immune to like any major volatility or letdown swings. The question is, Kai, is this spot a tough one? You could argue that Weber played him close the first matchup, slowed him down, kept him out of transition. That's a good start. I'm looking to fade Eastern Washington next Monday, just as a precursor against Montana State. They play tonight, they play Saturday, then they close at home against Montana State, who I think is the better team, honestly. So I'm not fading tonight, Kai. I'm going to fade him Monday.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, you would think Eastern Washington's been in bad spot almost every game with the way their record is, and they clinched the title with a win here in the Big Sky. They're 15-0. They have the nation's longest winning streak, 17 games. They're 11-3-1 against the spread in conference too. So not just winning, they're covering as well. This team is actually legit. Weber can be a very tough place to play. And Matt, you mentioned Weber did hang with Eastern Washington in the first game. They were up in the second half. They lost by 4. Eastern Washington just scores so well. They're the number 1 offense in the Big Sky, number 1 in effective field goal percentage. I really like their coach who took over for Legans. He's done a really impressive. Yeah, Riley. He's done an impressive job. Weber can pressure Eastern Washington's ball handlers. That's probably the only shaky part of their offense. But on the other end, it's really hard to match up with Eastern Washington size-wise. They have the 9th biggest team in the country. They start 6'6" and up in their starting lineup. They rarely play a guy under 6'6". It's a legit team. I actually lean towards the Eagles here still, Jim.
Yeah, the monster offensive efficiency combined with that size up and down the lineup, it's probably part of why they've been so dominant at this level. They shot 74% inside the arc against Weber in the first matchup. Like it's just unstoppable what they do. I haven't watched it enough to like spell it out for you guys and say here's how they attack and get all these layups, but man, it's ridiculous. They've broken like every projection system. Like the shot quality stuff says they're due for regression. They never regress. It's absurd. I'm going to keep riding with Eastern Washington here. I think they continue that undefeated run through the league, and that's all you need to cover if it's -1, -1.5. So big lean to the Eagles there. All right, Kai, back to Chat Mob for part 2.
Chat Mob, part 2 from Ray. We're going with Delaware and North Carolina A&T. I'm shifting it over to Matthew Cox. Delaware is a -2.5 favorite on the road.
Neither. Pass. Delaware with what's their injury situation now? Aren't they? I thought they got
Owens might
Davis
still be out, but I think
game,
Davis
Owens
is back.
out. I lean toward Delaware. It feels a little bit short for a team that's been disappointing in my eyes, NCAA this year. I had higher hopes for them.
Jim, you get from Danielson, Northern Kentucky at Detroit Mercy. It's basically a pick at BetRivers.
Yeah, I can we bet Antoine Davis over points? I bet he chucks over the top of that zone repeatedly over and over and over again. I lean towards the over, but NKU really tempers the pace with that zone, so it's hard for Detroit to get them running. Lean towards Detroit, though. I think they have the shooting to go over the top of the zone, and they've seen it so many times, multiple times this year, a second time this year now. I would be a Detroit guy there if I had to bet that game.
Matthew, you get Rice at UAB. Some questions about the total as well in this game, but UAB is laying 12 at home. The total is 159 at BetRivers.
Not looking to fade UAB with Jelly back. They seem to be starting to hit that high gear that we saw early in the year, but Rice is tough, man. I'd actually lean Rice with the points. I like the over more than the side here. I think there's a ton of points in this game. I think UAB gets it up and down, and Rice will say willingly, let's do it.
Yeah, there will be a lot of threes taken in that game. You just hope enough of them go in for the
long rebounds if they're not going in. Yeah, I think there's a lot of factors that work from all three there.
Jim from Steven as well. Pacific goes on the road to St. Mary's. The Gales are 19-point favorites at BetRivers.
Yeah, both this and Gonzaga, I lean towards the favorite because I think that net tiebreak is going to matter. I think they're going to try to smash, especially both teams being home, playing terrible defenses. There's heavy incentive for both St. Mary's and Gonzaga to really run that score up.
Matthew, another WCC game. Portland is going on the road to San Francisco. The Dons are laying 8. Your thoughts?
Portland finally got healthy last game. Didn't matter, though. Gave 103 to Santa Clara. That defense really is just in a rut right now. I just think the lineup inconsistency, coupled with the fact that they never really had great defenders or great athletes to begin with, started to catch up with Liggins and company. They can score on offense, no question, but they have no resistance defensively.
One more WCC. Excuse me, Jim. Yes.
Goofy thing I just realized with WCC, like the winner who gets the 1 seed, that means you're on the side of Loyola Marymount because they're going to get the 4. And both St. Mary's and Gonzaga have lost to LMU.
Interesting.
Yes. Is it better to be the
maybe
2
they're trying to
Santa Clara on the other side? Yeah, I don't know.
Pepperdine from Grant Gibbs fan club. They are on the road against Santa Clara. 11 points. I might hold my nose and lean towards Pepperdine there, but they're a hard team to trust. Again, we talk about it all the time. They're talented, but
covered 3 of 4.
Yeah.
They are 2-9 against the spread on the
waves.
road. -6 cover margin.
Not a great road team there, so maybe I won't. Maybe I won't lean that way.
Yeah, I don't know. Romar against Sendek, maybe not.
From Dom, North Dakota State hosts St. Thomas. I think someone asked, is it wrong team favored? No, I don't think so.
No.
North Dakota State's -4, Matt, at home against St. Thomas. Your thoughts?
Yeah, they played better. I backed them with my eyes closed against Oral Roberts. I think they just got a good spot there. I'm not going to put a ton of stock in that, but they beat UMKC on the road before that, beat Denver at home, and Omaha the 2 before that. I know everyone loves St. Thomas. I'm not saying I don't. I just think that they're priced a little bit too expensive right now.
They are super different home and road. Like they're
better at home.
A complete juggernaut at home. 11-1 against the spread, +7 cover margin. Nowhere near that on the road. If you have player props, I could see Grant Nelson scoring 35 against that interior defense. So that might be something worth looking at.
Jim, let's talk about Gonzaga, San Diego. 23-point spread from Ethan. Thoughts?
Strongly considered Gonzaga or Gonzaga first half for a best bet here. I think against a team that's really shorthanded and completely decrepit defensively, this is like the perfect home run. Gonzaga absolutely nukes a team. I 23 was a little higher than I wanted to, and I'm tempted to last second add it as a second best bet here. But I've been cold enough that adding 2 would be silly. Don't do that when you're not seeing the ball go through the hoop. So big lean to Gonzaga, first half and full game. Somebody mentioned team total also. Like, they're going to score. Why would they not score 100 here? I don't know.
Yeah. Jay Will asks about Towson and Charleston. 9-point spread. I made this spread lower. I did not take Towson. I don't really trust this team anymore. They have not played well lately, especially on the road. And Charleston is a dangerous team, especially at home. I stayed away in this one.
First game was weird. Charleston got up huge in the first half.
Overtime, right?
Towson ended up almost winning in overtime. Yeah.
Shorthanded, I think, as well. Towson was in that game. Strange. All right, Matt, finally, OVC. Tennessee Martin is hosting Tennessee State. Tennessee Martin is -4.5. If they lose, it's Moorhead's conference. Your thoughts?
It's already more.
Feels a little bit high. They've already.
I think they can tie still. I think they can tie.
Moorhead's got one game left, and they're up 2 losses.
No, they have 2 games left. Pretty sure.
No, Moorhead played last night, clinched it against Eastern Illinois. I'm sure.
Oh, okay, my mistake.
Cash
Okay, it's
future,
Moorhead's
Kai.
conference no matter what.
Future.
Matt, your thoughts on Martin, Tennessee State?
Oh, it's good. I needed time to think about this one. Christian Brown is back for Tennessee State. I had not noticed that. He's really good. Like,
he's good.
Difference maker in that conference. They played better. Although Martin's played better recently too, and we like Ryan Ritter. That's 2 teams I like playing against each other. No play for me.
OVC bet the home team. That's where I default.
Or that.
I think there's a lot of points there too.
Yes, pressing and weird stuff. I like that, Jim. Good call.
All right, let's go to best bets. I think Jim's up first.
I'm going with Southern Indiana. Great transition there, talking OVC home teams. Southern Indiana -5.5 for me. Pretty feisty in the first game against Tennessee Tech. Ended up losing by double digits, but I think some of the success they had offensively is repeatable, and they have been significantly better at home. Kai, I didn't fully realize this. You pointed out to me before the show that Tyler Henry of Southern Indiana collapsed last game.
Mm-hmm.
He is doing well, but it has gotten legitimately zero of the fanfare of any of the other sports collapses of the past couple of years. So we'll see how that affects Southern Indiana. He's like a part-time starter. So they've still got their best 5 players, 4 players at least. I think that's enough to take care of Tennessee Tech, who is a little bit shorthanded. Deontay Wood has been out. I'll ride with that home trend. Matthew, hopefully an emotional big game for Southern Indiana.
I like that.
-5.5.
The Screagles, I'm taking another home team, Jimbo. The Mavs of Arlington, who have been quietly cruising as of late, now under the direction of, pardon me, I forgot his name already. It is, don't tell me, Snoop Johnson. Thank you, Snoop Johnson. Stepping in for Greg Young after he got fired inexcusably. He's been there for a while. He's respected. I think it's like a perfect spot to back a team in the interim coach situation, because I think it's a team that probably likes their interim coach a lot, wants to play for him. He's trying to play for his full-time job, potentially similar to the effect you're seeing with Rodney Terry doing so well at Texas. I like this Mavs team. And Southern Utah has been a different team away from home, as many WAC teams have. I'm taking 5 here in a vintage home dog spot with Arlington. So go Mavs.
All right, my best bet is IUPUI +10. They're 7-2 against the spread at home. They're 8-2 against the spread the last 10. They played Robert Morris close in game 1, lost by just 7 on the road. It's their first home game since February 4th. They spent 4 straight games away from their home arena. It's Robert Morris's first road game since February 12th. They played 3 straight at home. Give me the scrappy Jags. It might be a backdoor cover, but a cover nonetheless. IUPUI +10.
Yeah, Robert Morris just beat the 2 top teams in the league, or 2 of the top 3.
Yep.
I could see them like not paying attention to this game at all.
It's their last game of the year too, Jim. Robert Morris.
Yeah. Yep. Is it IUPUI's senior day, Kai?
I think they have one more home game. Yeah.
They have one more against Youngstown.
Place will be buzzing. Indy will be buzzing.
Do they even have a senior?
Oh, baby.
All right,
I don't think
that
they
wraps
do,
everything
actually.
up here for our Thursday show. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Thank you to BetRivers, Field of 68, and Trevor, the producer behind the scenes. We'll be back again on Saturday, 10:15 a.m. Central, 11:15 a.m. Eastern, talking through one of the last giant slates of the year. Got, I believe, 2 more big old Saturdays left, and even the last one is tapered down. So excited for that. Ready to talk more hoops. But for now, enjoy your Thursdays. We'll see you on Saturday.